as is usually the case in our business, it's not just good enough to talk about something. We always like to market things, like to brand things. It's a very old saying. Get tired of saying the word branding, but branding is key. So I figure we got a big recruiting wave coming at us. Let's just call this the summer of scoop, because there's going to be a lot of it to be had. Steve Wiltfong had a live blog on 247sports.com. He's been running it throughout the day, and it's just updating whenever he hears something. I was on the phone with Wiltfong twice today. I think in the span of time between those two calls, he probably talked to like 5 or 6 dozen coaches and staffers and players. There's no one more dialed in and connected than Sir Stephen Wiltfong. I don't know that he's been knighted yet. If he hasn't, though, I call him sir, because it's inevitable. It's going to happen one day. Coaching staffs have been preparing for this day for months now. January 1st. What's magic about that? Well, at 12 o'clock or 12:01, I'm not quite sure how that happens. Anyway, somewhere around midnight on the East Coast, the recruiting dead period was lifted. And now you can have kids on campus. You can have those in-person visits. You can have face-to-face contact. You got some kids in this 2022 cycle that have not been on a college campus, and obviously programs have not had kids on campus in well over a year. Well, all that ended today. Here's where to focus. Okay, there are a couple of things I want you to keep a close eye on. I'm not going to run down a list of kids and where I think they're going to go. We've got some time to do that. Remember, it's going to be the summer of Scoop, not the show of Scoop. But here's where to focus. Couple of things to pay close attention to, because this is what coaching staffs are talking about. Number one, how many of these 2022 elite recruits are ready to pop already? How many of them have gone through Zoom recruiting and think they know where they want to go, and the in-person visit's kind of going to be a formality, but largely they're already ready to commit? How many of those are there out there? I think the answer is quite a few, but I don't know that it's just going to happen boom like that. Okay, I'm going to get back to that in a second. The second thing, this is the key. You're not always going to be able to see this. It's going to be a case by case as to how much your team site can keep you updated based on how forthcoming staffs are with information. Camps and in-person recruiting evaluations. You've got some kids, defensive linemen and offensive linemen in particular, that you have not been able to see in person, if you're a coach, in a year and a half. And a funny thing happens to 16 and 17-year-old kids over the span of 12 to 18 months at the most formative period in their adolescence. They grow. And so a lot of kids are about to show up, and whereas you once shook their hand and you looked down at them, now you're going to look up at them. At one point it was, hey, little buddy, and now it's, hey, big boy. Well, I would not offer this kid. I will offer that kid. And so you don't even know what's going to show up. Conversely, some kids may have sat there and eaten themselves out of house and home. And so what at one point would have been a very promising interior kind of nose tackle in a 3-4, well, now we can't even get him in the door without turning him sideways. He's a no-take now. You just got to get your eyeballs on some guys. Camps are going to be imperative. You got to see kids work out. You got to get out on the road and see kids work out. That's going to be important. Point number 2 is finding out basically which kids are still committable offers. Which kids that previously weren't do we now think have grown into the point where we can offer them a committable spot. The third thing, and this is where the rubber meets the road ultimately, how many programs can lock up 90% of their class before their season starts? Okay? Now, there are 2 schools of thought right now. School of thought number 1 is there's going to be a wave of commitments immediately because a bunch of kids are going to get on campus for the first time. They're going to be thrust into an official or an unofficial visit environment for the first time. It's going to be too much to handle. They're going to see their name on the marquee, and boom, 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 one after the other, the dominoes are going to fall, and they're going to commit. That's school of thought number 1. School of thought number 2 is kids are going to be primed, and they're going to be blown away, and they're going to have red carpets from coast to coast, sea to shining sea rolled out for them. However, they're going to be adamant that they're going to take all of their visits, and then before their season starts, before their high school season starts, that's when they're going to want to commit. This is the more popular line of thinking behind the scenes. A lot of staffers are feeling this way. A lot of people in our industry, the feedback they're getting leads them to believe that's probably how it's going to play out. I was talking to Wiltfong before we did the show, and I said, where do you fall on this? He said, I think July is going to be a huge commitment month. And so what's going to happen is you're going to get a lot of due diligence that's happening. You're going to get a lot of kids on campus. You're going to get a lot of staffs that get to do those in-person evaluations. You're going to get to have kids visit 4 or 5 places that they previously have only seen via Zoom. And then it's all going to build to July. And July is going to be unlike anything you've ever seen for a different reason than June is unlike anything you've ever seen. July is going to roll around. Let me paint you a picture. There's going to be a countdown on your fridge, and you're going to be counting down the days until college football season starts. Then media days are going to roll around. But all the while, you're going to have a group of elite prospects wrapping up their third, fourth, and then fifth official visit, and they're going to be ready to make a commitment because they want to get it out of the way before their senior year, and coaching staffs at the big boy programs want to have their classes locked up before they start the season, and you're going to have commit after commit after commit. July is the month for fireworks. This year, they will be both literal and figurative in nature. Colin, that's just a money soundbite. That will be on Twitter within the hour when we get done with the show. Let me compose myself. I'm just, every couple of weeks we have a good soundbite on the show, and it takes me by surprise when we have one. So I have to compose myself here. But if you want to have your jaw on the ground, go to the websites. Go to BamaOnline.com to pull one of the big boys out of my pocket. Go to BamaOnline.com. Check out the work that Hank South is doing over there, compiling the calendar for Alabama. I was just doing a cursory glance at this a little while ago. Alabama expects to have well over 100 kids visit in June. They'll have 2 or 3 dozen visit this week. And some of them, in fact, a lot of them, because it's Alabama, have 4 stars and 5 stars next to their name. But it's not just 2022. This is a massive week and month for 2023 kids, 24 kids. I saw some 2025 kids out there. I had a quarterback, by the way, Colin. I had a quarterback for the class of 2028 hit me up the other day. And I'm not quite sure how to handle it. I don't even know what the laws say about that. What are the Tennessee laws about 2028 recruits? I don't know. Does anyone know? I don't know. So TBD on that one. I haven't read the message yet, so he is none the wiser, and I think it's already past his bedtime, so he's not up watching the show. The summer of Scoop will continue. Keep it locked into 247sports.com.